I think one of the key roles that CaLP has to play in the humanitarian sector is that it brings together a very diverse range of stakeholders, both from inside and outside the sector. And I think if we are to fully unleash the potential of cash programming, we need a coalition which goes way beyond the traditional humanitarian agencies, but also includes the private sector and other parts of society which can help us leverage this incredibly powerful modality.
The biggest value added is really about centralizing and thought leadership around what is needed in terms of standards for the sector at large, the humanitarian sector. And I feel the CaLP is best placed to support all the different actors in the community of practice trying to harmonize those standards. There's still a lot of lessons learned, there's still a lot of evidence we need to create and try to replicate in various contexts, and I think the CaLP is the best platform for this. As well, in link with the humanitarian larger discussions and the World Humanitarian Summit now, the CaLP provides a super opportunity to gather the different voices and opinions of a number of organizations and bring those forward at these larger conferences or summits.
CaLP plays an absolutely vital role in our work because they are helping us improve the technical expertise that we have in-house to do cash-based transfers, and they are bringing us together with other like-minded donors and academics and PVOs who are passionate about expanding this type of programming to improve the efficiency and people-centered focus of cash-based transfers. So they have a vital role to play in identifying lessons learned and in bringing forward the knowledge and evaluation and monitoring and expertise that we need so that we can grow together as a community.
CaLP is a fundamental resource for all of us, whether it's private sector, individuals, UN agencies, governments, implementing organizations. It serves as a wealth of information and experience to allow us to better do our jobs. It looks at critical business practices and delves into how we can better serve vulnerable populations who are affected by crisis and hopefully allow them to grow beyond their vulnerability and progress.
A very practical and significant element will be the harmonisation of the market assessments and how they can bring us all together and bang our heads together and make sure we all sing off the same song sheet.
One thing that I think is really important and that CaLP can really play a role is to gather good lessons learned around good response analysis, so enabling us to share our experiences and to learn about how to show up on the scene in an acute emergency, to really rapidly assess the situation and where it's appropriate to be able to get cash transfers out really quickly.
Linking recipients to financial services can really build a bridge from relief to resiliency, and linking them to instruments that allow them to better manage their finances. And for the humanitarians, it will be really key to assess beneficiaries' needs and their preferences.
We would actually like to ensure that there is an ecosystem that is built with us so we can actually contribute to the whole movement. We've been pushing cash for years, but now we would need to ensure that diversity of NGOs is really maintained in the system. So I think CaLP would have a role in ensuring that such a platform or an umbrella is put together.
There's a huge momentum as we're going towards the World Humanitarian Summit, and certainly a sense that after the World Humanitarian Summit, when member states will be making their commitments, there's really an opportunity to make certainly all the elements around cash transfer programming more central. I think the quality of a response analysis needs to be improved, and I think that as a network, there's huge potential for changing the way we do things, the way we engage with communities. Cash transfer programming is really focusing also on beneficiary needs, on populations being able to prioritize themselves, and this is something that is central for most donors, most international organizations, most national organizations.
CaLP is tremendously important, I believe, because now there are so many different discussions going on in DIFI and ECHO and the World Bank and ISC and so on. Somebody needs to bring these discussions together, both at the technical level and the political. And I do believe that there has been a lot of focus on the technical levels in the past, so I would love to see a more sort of political engagement to bring in the bigger picture in terms of cash and solutions, cash and the capacity of hosting countries, cash and the European refugee crisis and so on. The important report on the roundtable on cash, the DFID-led, cites 220 evaluation. They claim that the evidence is there. Perhaps that's true, but at least it's not widely known yet. So to make this revolution happen, it really needs to be massaged into all the agencies.
I think being more inclusive on coordination, pushing forward, how can organizations that are standardly put out there to coordinate yet somehow compete with each other for funding? I think we got to have some kind of data standards. Having standards that everyone is using the same thing, the same tool, but not just the same tool, the actual data and digital information that goes into that tool so that we can collectively put things together and actually have data and information that speaks to each other. Yes, we would still be competing for funds, of course, but at the same time, we would all collectively be on the same level playing field with the same amount of information, understanding what beneficiaries need, understanding what populations require, and how we can respond to their particular needs.
And I think CaLP's role in all this is really to bring people together, to allow us to have that discussion, to allow the different interests, whether that's private sector, donors, UN, NGOs. We need a space where we can discuss these issues and make sure we learn from each other. And so having a space where CaLP can bring the right people together from across boundaries, from across different mandates and all the issues that we often suffer from, bring people together to really focus on the key issue, which is supporting people at a time of crisis.